King Arthur needs your help. The land of ancient England is under siege. King Arthur and his noble knights of the round have been imprisoned deep under the distant mountain stronghold of the sorceress Morgana. From within the cave of glass, King Arthur is powerless as Morgana's evil warlords ravage the countryside. Merlin, the great wizard, has reached out into the future to bring you back in time to this land of knights and dragons. Are you willing to face Morgana, retrieve the lost 12 keys of truth, and liberate King Arthur and his men? Merlin and the people of Camelot are depending on you. This is King Arthur and the Knights of Justice, developed by Manley and Associates. Indeed, published by Enix, released in 1995. It's an action-adventure game, and was based on a cartoon of the same name, which of course was inspired by Arthurian legend. The game was a North American exclusive, which is weird for an Enix game. And we take on the role of a team of American football players transported to medieval England who have to save King Arthur. The game was the first Enix title developed by an American company and was inspired by, guess what, Legend of Zelda. It received reviews ranking from mediocre to poor. And yeah, I can agree with that. I want this game to be better than it is. I may have seen out of the corner of my eye 57 years ago a little bit of the cartoon, so I remember very little about it. But I like the game looks like it should be pretty good, right? Like it's got good graphics. The music's okay, the gameplay's not super weird, but it's got a lot of other problems. So as we talked about earlier, there are these 12 keys, you got to get the keys, but if you take the wrong knight to get the key disappears, you can't win the game. There's no save feature, so you have to do it with a password. The map is kind of weird. Manley and Associates, let's talk about that. 24 people worked on the game, though not all at the same time. That would mean the room would be much bigger. Manley and Associates from Issaquah, Washington, initially planned for a 16 megabit cartridge, but 4 additional megabits were added to expand the game, and it took 2 years to develop it. In addition to the cartoon series, they got the idea from Zelda, books as T.H. White's The Books of Merlin, fables from medieval poet Marie de Francais. They noted that the hardest part was coming up with the puzzles. It had to be fun and challenging, but not repetitive. And while they tried to maintain a balance between action and puzzles, they noted that they focused more on the puzzle aspect. Favorite parts for the developers included the dragon battles, the boss Blackwing, and Morgana's warlords. The title received negative reviews. Freelance critic Robert Schmitz gave it a 0.5 out of 11. Now you're just being obnoxious. Calling it awful, explaining the game is almost better left unsaid. They blamed Enix's decision to base the game on a little-known cartoon series. EGM, the 4 reviewers were divided. Ed and Danyan said it was okay with strong music, immersive sound effects, and the epic quest balance against below-average graphics, while Al and Sushi X said it was all-around mediocre clone of Secret of Mana. Both Carpenter and Sushi X remarked that the game would have a hard time getting noticed due to it being released in the same month as Chrono Trigger. Alan Milligan, in a review for gaming intelligence agency, the GIA, judged the graphics and audio both mediocre. Character design's terrible, the plot generic, the puzzles not challenging. It's impossible for the player to know in advance which knight is best suited for which boss. Milligan called the game staggeringly ill-conceived and likened it to a succession of fetch quests. The AI was also denounced, as was lack of animation for when a character or an enemy is hit. Here's an interesting little note. The game's ROM contains unused dialogue saying, "You have been lucky enough to defeat my dragon, but I'll be back and I'll have my revenge," which suggests that Morgana was originally supposed to not turn into, but just summon the dragon and escape. Setting it up for a sequel, oh my. Again, I want this game to be better than it is because I think it's got some good points to it. I don't think it's as awful as everybody else says. All Game gave it a 3 out of 5. I would sit with that. I think the graphics are fine. I think the music's good. I just think that it's just so... it's so obscure and cryptic and kind of poorly planned out. It could have been better. It's a shame that it wasn't.